On the other side, 49ers, not good. Lost CMC, lost the game, maybe lost their Super Bowl window. Greg, you were early on this. Who are you giving the lion's share of the blame for this season?
So I don't. Injuries, man. Like, I can't give the lion's share of the blame to any specific player, or I'm not gonna even say a side of the ball. If I were to go with a side of the ball, I would say their defense has let them down more than their offense. But injuries clearly has plagued this team. I don't think that they were gonna be as good as everyone else thought they would be, even without the injuries. But with the amount of injuries that they've had, with the significance of the player that has been injured, it's just been too much to overcome. When you ask a coach like Kyle Shanahan to scheme up plays, and I know how you feel about this, like, you got to be able to overcome these things. But every team goes into a season understanding there's going to be adversity. Every team goes into a season understanding that. No one goes into a season thinking
our three best offensive players are in
every prominent player that we have is going to eventually be down. We're going to be without them, and for significant amounts of time. Like, that's what the 49ers have had to deal with this season. Yes, I've been right on this, but it's not something that I'm gloating about, because you don't want guys to get hurt. But seeing CMC go down last night is just unfortunate. It's just a tale of their season.
You're sort of our cap guru on the show. Is any part of this, because obviously injuries is a fair answer, roster construction where you have a handful of superstars, if they get hurt, all of a sudden there's a larger drop-off, which makes you susceptible to
of roster construction related to the age of the guys. Trent Williams, one of the oldest tackles in the league. George Kittle's one of the oldest tight ends in the league. Now, he hasn't dealt with as many injuries, but he doesn't appear to me to be quite as productive on a play-to-play basis. Christian McCaffrey, a ton of wear and tear for the position and the age, and he's already been an injury risk. And defensively, it's just been devastated by injury. Like, they had started in the Super Bowl when Dre Greenlaw's Achilles popped, and it never let up. So my answer quickly, Brew, is I think it's the injuries combined with the quarterback coming back down to earth, and you need a superhero at quarterback to be able to sustain or overcome what they've dealt with.
I agree with
that. And they don't have that.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can argue more about Brock Purdy later in the show, but they don't have that. And so they're DOA. Like, I'm not putting it on Kyle. We can argue about Kyle another time. But when you have this many injuries during the year, the only way to sustain it is have a superhero quarterback, or one side of the ball be untouched by injuries and
be dominant.
Right, and be dominant. They've got neither.
I agree with both of you. And as much as I like Purdy, I agree on that. Like, I mean, I think that tier one is Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and Allen. And even Burrow can't do it in Cincinnati without a defense. The other tier two guys, which I put Purdy in, they need a lot of help. We see Matthew Stafford, as much as people like him, he hasn't been the same when his guys have been hurt. So injuries, of course, particularly defense. They went from the third scoring defense in the league last year to 25th. So the defense has been terrible. I'm going to throw something else in that I thought was a possibility. I give you credit for calling it in the preseason. They're not making the playoffs. I thought this was a possibility with the injuries, but I didn't call it. The emotional letdown of being close for 6 straight years, essentially. 5 of 6 years, they've been right there. Twice got to the Super Bowl. And when you go that many times, you got to knock through the door at least once. Or I think the emotional letdown for them, because let's face it, we see it in the NBA. The regular season, if you go into this season and you're the Niners, it's like, man, let's get through this regular season and we got to get it done in the playoffs. That's all that matters. And that can break a team psychologically. So I think that's a factor too.
No, dude, the factor is that they are decimated with injuries. We don't have to overcomplicate things. We don't have to start to, like, dig into Brock Purdy. Like, what do you want Brock Purdy to do in this game? He's supposed to ball out and put up and hang 42 points? I mean, like, come on, man. Seriously. It doesn't make any sense. And you know what? And stop with this narrative that all these other quarterbacks can do it all, by themselves, because it's just not true. Okay? It's just not. It's just not. Not Mahomes. Not Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar. Those guys can help and can win some games, but they can't carry a season. They can't carry a team to victory after victory after victory. Within a game, when you have some injuries, again, you need your quarterback, like the Josh Allens and the Mahomes of the world, to be superheroes. But they can't consistently be superheroes again and again and again. There's still some base level of support that they need. They need a great defense. They need a couple great weapons. They need a great head coach, whatever it may be. So again, to hang this on Brock Purdy, and that's why even this thing at the bottom, Brocky road ahead. Why is this on Brock Purdy? And if he was a better quarterback, they would somehow just magically be, start to win these games. It's just not true. I just don't see it. If he was a 10% better quarterback, which would then put him into literally number 1 or 2 best quarterback, how many more games would they have won? Maybe one more game or something, maybe. But it's just I don't know. If you want your quarterback to be able to carry a team, then you need a defense that can hold its own. And their defense can't. Look no further than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is absolutely balling out. He is the perfect example of no matter what, no matter how much of a Superman you are, he can't do anything more offensively. The dude is averaging 30 plus points a game, and he's losing all these games. It's not on Joe Burrow. That is the perfect example of no matter how great your quarterback is, you just can't carry a team. You just can't. It's still there still needs to be a certain level of talent or skill or production or coaching or whatever. Just look no further than Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. That is the perfect example. Last year, if the Kansas City Chiefs defense was just 5% worse, they don't win. I mean, that's just a fact. That's just basic math at that point. But again, everybody just wants to give all that credit to Patrick Mahomes carrying the team, and it's not. It's a complete picture. So the 49ers, even if they were fully healthy, it looks like they were not going to be as great as many people thought, which is okay to accept and admit. But they were not going to look like this. They still would have been one of those teams where you're like, I don't want to face them in the playoffs. They still had knockout power. They still had the ability to get to you. But with all of the injuries, it's just like, what are you going to do? And it's a bummer. It is. It's very frustrating. And in a sad way, Christian McCaffrey going down in that moment is just the perfect representation of that. He just had to go down. And that's what happened to the 49ers. A commenter made up a good point saying, some of this is also because of the whole Trey Lance acquisition, and they gave up the draft capital, and now they have these older players. They have to rely on free agency and paying everyone, and that kind of hurt them again. Definitely a contributing factor. But they kind of saved face with Brock Purdy and not having to pay him, so it potentially balanced out and whatnot. I just think it's one of those things. It's unfortunate. The injuries have just never they've just never been able to kind of rest up and get fully healthy. They've just never been able to get ahead of that. That has been the foundational problem. And then there's all these other little things, defense, special teams, Brock Purdy, coaching. Those are all contributing factors too. But those are not the foundation. Injuries are the foundation. We don't have to look much more deeper than that. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the 49ers? Who do you think's at fault for the failures, or what's at fault? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.